I would like to discuss with you the situation regarding the Russian oil and gas industry, particularly the recent increase in Ukraine's efforts to disrupt Russian infrastructure in order to diminish Russia's economic influence and its ability to fund the war in Ukraine, which has been ongoing for more than 23 months. As the conflict approaches its second anniversary, it is possible to become deadlocked and the war may continue indefinitely. It appears that Ukraine has shifted into focus in recent years. What happens to the revenues that Russia receives from oil and gas exports? I think this is likely to happen over the next 3 to 6 months if there is an increase in the number of drone attacks from Ukraine and what the consequences of this will be for the Russian economy. Your support really helps me maintain the channel. The largest and most recent attack by Ukrainian drones on Russian oil and gas tests took place at the end of January and targeted liquefied natural gas production facilities Novatek near St. Petersburg. A fire broke out at the Baltic Sea terminal in Russia after a suspected Ukrainian drone attack. Novatek, Russia's largest producer of liquefied natural gas, said it had suspended some operations there, blaming external influence. The Ustluga complex is located on the shore of the Gulf of Finland, about 110 miles west of St. Petersburg. The fire was the result of a special operation conducted by the security services of Ukraine. The Russian news outlet SHOT reported that local residents were shooting a drone was operating nearby, followed by several explosions. As a result of the attack, Novatek announced the suspension of various activities at the plant. The company's press release says that the technological process at Novatek Ustluga has been stopped and an operational headquarters has been established to eliminate the consequences and assess the damage. Work will be carried out later. The giant Ustluga complex is located about 110 miles west of St. Petersburg and is used to deliver oil and gas products to international markets. It processes stable gas condensate, a type of light oil, into light and heavy naphtha, kerosene and diesel fuel, which are delivered by sea. Ukraine has announced that it has developed unmanned aerial vehicles capable of moving 1,000 kilometers, means about 700 miles. This latest drone strike, if it was launched from the territory of Ukraine, it would be Ukraine's greatest success in deploying such a mission. And it really could potentially change the rules of the game, because it would mean that Ukraine could now potentially start to strike at many different oil and gas facilities throughout Russia. And now this is becoming a perfect example of guerrilla warfare because the Russian authorities will not know where Ukraine is trying to strike and therefore will be less dangerous. We are ready to be able to prevent any of these potential attacks. The Russian official TASS news agency reported that the fire at the oil depot covered an area of about 1,000 square miles, and TASS also reported at the time that another Ukrainian drone that targeted a Russian oil terminal in the Baltic Sea near St. Petersburg was also shot down. One of the reasons why Ukraine can now launch strikes from a long distance at Russian oil and gas facilities is the development of so-called unmanned aerial vehicles with a first-person viewer FPV drones. This technology is now also used in real warfare, not just in computer games. Initially, when drones were used for military purposes, they were used primarily for surveillance. You can control the drone at a very high altitude and then zoom in on the entire area so you can see where the soldiers are hiding and what's going on the battlefield. But, obviously, the next level of development was arming these drones, installing some kind of weapon on them. And basically these days there are two different types of drone strikes. Drones can either be used to launch explosives so they can drop bombs, or they can be a version of kamikaze, and these kamikaze drones do exactly the same job. They are designed to load explosives, and the drone heads straight to the target that the pilot wants to hit. And the reason these kamikaze drones could become a really important part of the war in Ukraine is that they can now fly very long distances, potentially up to 1,000 miles. And in terms of Russia's ability to defend against these drones, they can be quite difficult because you can send a lot and they can fly at very high altitudes and they will be difficult to detect. So, it is obvious that drone strikes pose a serious threat. The threat to oil and gas exports from Russia and, consequently, its revenues. Now, as a result of Russia's direct invasion of Ukraine, all these companies have left, taking all their experts with them, as well as limiting the use of any technology in the future. Thus, if Russia is subjected to various explosions and strikes, there is no guarantee that Russia has either the capabilities or the technology to do this. To make these objects work again. This can have a negative impact on the entire production chain and cause serious problems for Russia. And, as we said earlier, Russia has nowhere to store its oil. It produces about 9 million barrels of oil per day and exports about 5 million of them. So if its facilities on the coast start to be damaged, if tankers really cannot dock, if production facilities cannot continue to operate, then this potentially means that Russia will have to cut off the supply of oil to some of its facilities, and if it does, this could lead to serious negative consequences. What we are seeing is a growing trend. The Ukrainian authorities seem to have changed their approach and are now targeting the Russian infrastructure because they know that it is the lifeblood of the war in Ukraine. If Russia lost all its revenues overnight, it would be difficult for it to maintain the war for more than 6 or 12 months. And what this means from Russia's point of view is that it is becoming increasingly difficult to defend all its facilities because you don't know where the next drone that will strike will appear. Previously, Russia earned about $300 billion a year. Today it is closer to $200 billion. This is serious change. However, if Ukraine is able to successfully strike at all these oil and gas facilities and causes even more of these facilities to fail and have to be closed, this in itself will obviously reduce Russia's revenues. Let's summarize this video. Recently, Ukraine has started using unmanned drones, and it all started with attacks on residential complexes and civilians, but after a series of failures, the Ukrainian authorities rethought their actions and decided to attack Russian oil and gas facilities, which bring huge income to the country, due to which Russia has been holding on for so long. And these actions began to give certain results. Russia has started to lose income, and this is really weakening it a lot in the war with Ukraine. Incomes are falling, and no one finances Russia, as, for example, the European Union and the United States finance Ukraine. So, I hope you enjoyed today's video. We found it useful, informative and thought-provoking. If you liked what I said, then please give me a thumbs up. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel and like this video. I tried very hard, and do not forget to click on the bell because new videos are released every. Did you know that all the events began back in 2014 after the change of power in Ukraine? And according to experts, it was because of Ukraine's actions that Russia's invasion began. Write in the comments if you have watched up to this point.